idea. I used to live in New York. I grew up there on Long Island. And periodically they would have a sales tax holiday.
Yeah.
You know, they pick a Saturday, maybe once a quarter or something like that. Business would go through the roof.
Yep.
Because anybody knows if you reduce the cost, and by that it's the cost it takes to put this thing in your grocery basket, take it home. That includes the tax. You reduce the cost, you get more of it. And, you know, so I'm back to the same, what we were talking about just a second ago. Everybody knows that if you reduce the taxes on employment, you'll have more employment. Where they get caught up is, well, you reduce tax, don't we get less revenue, you know, to pay the government's bills? Well, not really, because when you have more employment, even though you're taking a little smaller piece, there are more pieces. So it's been tried.
More revenue, and the state is receiving that revenue through the business profits tax.
Yeah, and this has been tried. John F. Kennedy did this, reduced tax rates, receipts went up. Reagan did it, reduced tax rates, receipts went up.
Absolutely.
George Bush II did it, reduced the rates, taxes go up.
Now is the time to do that in New Hampshire. And
certainly when we want more jobs, we should reduce the cost.
But you know, you talk about job creation, you know, I guess the whole issue here is you can't just say you're for jobs and not do anything. You need to act. One thing that I'd like to see is in the tax structure, again, go out to the employers and say, look, if you create one job, you will get a tax credit. We can work out a formula that gives businesses and employers a tax credit for every single job they create. And we could see this economy booming in New Hampshire in the future. Sure. And we need to do it, but you need leadership. And Ray, it comes down to being able to say no, being able to cut spending, being able to say we cannot continue to grow at the level 24% increase in spending.
Let me ask you a question about that, because I may have missed. I know there's been a couple of attempts by the governor to talk about how we're cutting the budget, because my recollection is that the budget increased in the first 2 years of the Democrat majority, Governor Lynch presiding, by 18%. And my understanding was that in the just past 2 years of the Democrat majority, Lynch presiding, they went up another 12. So I came up to 30. You've used the word 24. Now I know they've tried to cut back.
I've looked at the budget.
Yeah,
I've come up with 24% increase in 2 years, in the last 2 years, of total funds.
Yeah,
now the budget consists of highway funds, general funds, different other funds, federal funds, obviously. Some of that is stimulus related, but overall, 24% increase in spending is not a New Hampshire advantage. It's not the New Hampshire way. And what do you have? You've got to continue to grow, and you're going to have a hard time sustaining that in the future. You can't without a sales or income tax.
It's unsustainable.
And what's going to happen here is we're staring right down that type of taxation in this state, and we don't want that. You know, we just celebrated July 4th, Independence Day. Independence from taxation. We have an article in our Constitution, 38, New Hampshire Constitution, that the Founding Fathers said, economy and frugality makes for good government.
That's right.
And you know what?
I agree with that.
We have
That's
lost
hard to argue.
our way.
Oh, there's no doubt.
When I was Commissioner of Health and Human Services, 4 years, I kept flat spending, and I returned $143 million to the general fund. And I told my staff, 3,500, that we need to do a better job here to respond to the taxpayers. Let's bring value back to them.
Well, I think that's one of the problems. I often comment that one of the issues with government, unlike a business, any business, a business is beholden to certain individuals, customers, shareholders, creditors. So if you're not making money to meet your obligations, if you're not making product that customers want, something goes wrong. The first sign is you start having a deficit, and your creditors stick with you long enough that they figure out you're going to fix it. Improve quality, improve quantity, reduce cost, whatever it may be. But a business has to respond to survive. A government, on the other hand, doesn't actually have the voice of the customer. It has an organization, it's looking for things to do so it can grow and expand, and there's this sort of idea that, well, we'll just raise more revenue. So it doesn't have the same thing except for the voting booth. And it's time for the voters.
And those are your taxpayers.
To to make a difference and rein it in.
Yeah, and you mentioned a couple things. In government doesn't run things well. The private business knows how to run things
for the reasons I just mentioned.
Yes, and we need to look at some of the efficiency models, some of the scorecarding, the performance metrics, the things that private business does well that government doesn't. Bring those ideas into government without growing the size of government. But you can also downsize government by being more efficient, and you don't have to hire so many people. You can also do things, Ray, in our state, every single department has HR. Every department has big finance offices. We have a business office at the Division of Administration, but every single department has their own business office. Everyone has their own attorneys. We have an Attorney General's office. You know, we need to start really consolidating these services into a one-stop shop and not just talk about it. You know, we can say one thing, but we need action right now, and that's what the taxpayers are asking for. And especially on jobs, creating jobs, we can't keep talking about it. I'll give you an example. 2 weeks ago, I had a press conference on the Job Corps building in Manchester. There's $35 million federal project. The money's there. 8 months ago, they talked about building this Job Corps Center. We're the only state in the country that doesn't have a Job Corps Center. And yet, it's been 8 months, and the governor hasn't done anything to get this moving. There's an issue that the unions have, and there's an issue that the business, the corporate folks have, the construction folks have, and all I'm saying is sit down at the table and work it out.
Sort it out.
We don't want to have all the Massachusetts folks coming out here. We need jobs for New Hampshire people. And if I was governor, it wouldn't be waiting 8 months. We would have been able to begin that project. And we're still waiting and delayed. And to this day, that Job Corps Center they haven't even broken ground. And we're the only state now in the country that doesn't have a Job Corps Center to help 300 plus young kids to try to get back into the job market by growing skills.
It's interesting to me. Governor Lynch was here in Bedford, I think it was about 1.5 years ago, because we had a conference on economic development within the community, and he was invited to speak, and I happened to be there. I attended. He came down, he told us about his experience in his business life and turning the company around. It was a furniture company, et cetera, and he recounted how he had done so well at that he was asked to speak in a management seminar about how he did it. And I'll never forget it. He said, you know, that he put it all on one graph. He got up there and and if I remember the words correctly, it was something like, make sure your costs are lower than your revenues. And of course, I'm sitting here. I mean, that's as remarkable as saying, well, you know, sun rises in the east. They wouldn't take questions because I was going to ask, how's that going up in Concord? Because that was the first year where they had the 20%, 15, 12%, whatever it was, increase. It is remarkable to me that those skills, to the extent he's used them in the past, have not been evident in his role as governor of the state. And I think it's clearly time that we have to have someone that cares about this stuff.
Well, you need to lead. I keep using that word. I was there. I was appointed by Governor Gregg to be Assistant Attorney General. I was appointed by Governor Shaheen to be Assistant Deputy Commissioner at Safety. I was appointed by Governor Benson. We had a $300 million deficit to be Commissioner of Health and Human Services. I didn't look for those positions. I was asked to go in and do a job. He asked me to go in and cut spending, and we did. Yeah. We can do it. You
have to care.
But you need leadership, and you have to have a passion about New Hampshire values. And I do. Yeah. And you know what? If you lead from the top and tell the state employees, this is what I need. I need a 5% across-the-board reduction without impacting direct services. I want you to find efficiencies, and I want you to be able to reduce the backroom functions, eliminate redundancy. You give them direction, and that's what I need. And I want to see this, and then I want to see a scorecard every week or every month. I want to see from the commissioners where we're going, keep them on their toes. Things happen.
Yeah,
that is not the type of leadership we've had.
Right.
I worked 2 years for Governor Lynch, and that's not the leadership we had. He is a nice person, you know. This isn't about nice people or niceness. This is about getting the job done and making sure we don't have a sales or income tax.